So my guest today is Liz Malthouse, Principal of Beachside Property Rentals, and Liz joins us from the Sunshine Coast. Liz, welcome to the show.
Hi Wayne, thanks for having us today. Great opportunity.
It's always a pleasure to have you with us, Liz. Now, you work with investors to ensure that they're ahead of the game. How do you do that?
Well, I've been working with a lot of investors lately, a lot of people who are wanting to buy an investment property on the Sunshine Coast, but they're not quite sure where to buy and what sort of rental return that they would actually achieve. So I've been working closely with a couple of clients over the last year, and what they do is go on realestate.com and have a look at the homes that appeal to them. And then what they do is shoot me the link or email me the link through. I have a look at the property, see the area, because of course in any suburb there's good areas and there's bad areas. So what I do is have a look at the area. I see if it's an attraction to a tenant. And then what I do is do a rental appraisal on that property. So then they get a true indication of what sort of income that they would get from that property in order for them to maximise their return, rather than going through a sales agent who, of course, they always inflate it. So then they're getting sort of real figures. Sometimes that can take time. With one client I was working with recently, I probably did about 30 rental appraisals, various areas ranging from Noosa to Sunrise Beach to Sunshine Beach. So it can be a radius of about 10 to 20 kilometres. And we actually eventually secured a property for him, which was fabulous. And then it just come over to me for a rental, and then we just started renting it out straight away. The figures that we gave were accurate. The banks loved it, and it was a really good working relationship, and building that rapport with that client to give them the trust from Beachside. So that was really powerful.
Liz, it's never occurred to me before, but it sounds like the relationship between what you pay for the property and the income you can get from rental is not fixed. There's things that make that a variable figure. What are the features or what are the characteristics that you notice that make that a better proposition for an owner?
We are very seasonal up here on the coast, so it would depend on the type of year that you actually buy an investment property to the amount of income that you will get during that year. For instance, at the moment, and typically in the winter months, our returns are a little lower because we don't have the demand of properties. So generally in the summer period, that's when we can maximise and really get the strong income and strong rental return for the owner. Look, if you've got a pool, sometimes pools can be, some owners don't like them. Tenants love them. You usually get about $50 to $60 a week rent on an investment property if it has a pool. Obviously, people like properties that look good. They like to have the Caesar bench top if available, or really nice kitchens like Noosa. Up in the Sunshine Coast, there's a lot of the older areas, so the properties are really of age, so they actually don't get the most that you could get out of a property if you actually have a more modern look. People like to live in a property that it's nice. They don't want to live in a property the kitchen is 30 years old and it's falling apart. You're just not going to get the return on. You might get overall long-term income if you resell your property, but as a tenancy, your weekly rent that you're attracting or obtaining from your tenant is not as strong as what it would be on a better standard property. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes perfect sense. Liz, you say you use the tagline on your website, discover the beachside difference. Now, what do you mean by that?
Well, as you know, I'm mobile. So when I first started, when Beachside first was developed, I wanted to be different from the other agencies. Yes, I'm mobile. I don't want to be like everyone else and have a shop front and be the traditional real estate agent. I want to be different. So the Beachside difference is I had someone call me last night about 8 o'clock and I took the call. Normal property manager wouldn't. Working with clients who are investors trying to secure a property for them, seeing the areas. So I actually go outside of my realm of a typical property manager, give them the service and the feedback in order to give them a better outcome of their investment. And that's the slight difference. No, we will do what other agencies won't do. Of course, it has to be legal, but the service we provide is outside the realm of what a typical standalone property manager or an agency will deliver.
Now, that has to make your owners stick to you like glue.
Oh, they love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure they do.
I was texting I've got a property at the moment that a tenant's actually bought a property, so they're moving on. So then what's doing is breaking the lease. So I was doing negotiations last night up until about 10 o'clock and texting the owner, keeping him abreast and updated of what was happening and what he should be expecting to hear from me tomorrow, and that we have to move quickly in order to get this deal signed and another tenant moved in, and then we can move forward from there. A lot of other agents, a tenant who's breaking their lease, of course you have to try and mitigate their losses, but you don't have to go outside the realm of, a typical 9 to 5 day. But fortunately, that's what I did, and that's what I do. Because, the tenant wants to move on, and we want to find someone in the property that's going to enjoy it and love it and treat it like its own and live there for a long time. So at time, you just have to do things differently and go outside of your comfort zone and create that good experience, because it's all about that communication between, I've said last week, between myself, the owner and the tenant. It's building that rapport between all of us, and then we have a really good model, and that's the Beachside difference.
Now, I know some property owners have done their research on property managers to try and manage an investment property on price, and they make price the most important characteristic, and they some investors try to negotiate fees downwards. What's your thought on trying to drive that sort of bargain with your property manager?
Well, I think if a property manager will automatically drop their fees when someone asks, well, then that's not the company that I would actually want to deal with. I think, it's like anything, Wayne, you get what you pay for. You shop at Buy Low, will you get that product? If you shop at Myer, you get that product, or David Jones. So there's a difference between David Jones and Buy Low. So the difference really in the percentage is generally a cup of coffee a week. So it's about $4 or $5. I don't think a lot of owners understand the percentage. I think they're just after a deal. However, I find if people are quick to reduce their fees, they're quick to, when they're negotiating with the tenant for a rent increase, or they're negotiating with the tenant on the hard issues, they will just crumble. And an owner doesn't want a property manager who would crumble. I think you need to be fair, you need to have integrity, you need to know the legislation and try and navigate yourself through the process to get the best outcome for everyone. And at the end of the day, we are here to work for the owner, but you know, when you have to be strong and get the owner what the market is reflecting to them, well, so be it. And that's why I think with Beachside, our fees are competitive. We're definitely not the weakest. We're not the lowest management fees, but we're definitely not the highest either. We're in the middle, and I think it's very fair and reasonable. And you know, you wouldn't get another property manager contacting you outside of hours or working outside. So, you know, that could mean a deal gone because it's quite quickly. So I think it's, you know, owners have to be really careful when they start negotiating percentages. They need to really get to the nitty-gritty of what that property manager is going to do for you and how's that going to affect your return. Because the wrong property manager can cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. So, you know, to squabble over a cup of coffee a week is really irrelevant in my eyes.
And Liz, I know you're on the beautiful Sunshine Coast, and many of the people listening will have had experience there. But what are some of the suburbs that Beachside Property Rentals manages properties in? So what are some of your favourite suburbs around you that you work in?
Of course, Noosa is great. Parisian Springs is a really strong rental area, and they've got lovely new homes. Parisian Springs is probably about 15 to 20 years, I would say. And it's just growing. So there's a lot of new development there. A lot of people like to live in a new property. Parisian Springs is really 7 minutes to the Noosa Civic Shopping Centre, about 14 minutes to the beach at Noosa, and it's about 5 minutes to the beach at Parisian Beach. So that's a really attraction down there.
Sounds terrible.
I know. The sun is shining out there today, but it's still a little bit cool in my eyes. No, we even manage properties from Urumba, which is just past Mount Coolum. They have some beautiful properties down there on the beachfront, quite high market properties. And then we do Coolum, Mount Coolum, Parisian Beach, Noosaville, Sunshine Beach, all along the coast up to Noosa. And then we head out to Taunton, and we've got a couple out at Roy, which is a lovely little hinterland suburb and country area, and it's gorgeous. It's got a lot of the old Queensland homes, and hinterland's got a beautiful little shopping centre there. So, you know, probably as far as I would probably drive would be about 10 to 12 minutes. It's not that far, really.
It's certainly not far if you're living in one of the capital cities. Liz Malthouse of Beachside Property Rentals, it's been lovely having a chat with you again. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Wayne. Have a good day. Bye for now.